Hi, my name is Lisa Amaya, and my classmates Maria Alvarez and Daniel Salinas and I are going to talk about the chapter 2 that is Manage Learning Progression. First, I want to start talking about that we know that the school in principle is totally organized to fit the progression of the learning of the students towards objectives forcing at the end of each cycle of studies. Actually, the progression does not require any particular competence of the teachers. And on the other hand, we know that in each classroom there is a diversity of learning styles on the part of the students. Parts of the decisions of the progression that the institution is in charge of decrease to the benefit of the decision entrusted to the teachers. This helps fulfill the daily class, surpassing the didactic planification. Well, we have here that it conceive and control problem situations, adjust to the level and possibilities of the students, acquire longitudinal vision of the objectives of teaching, establish links between underlying theories and learning activities, observe and evaluate students in learning situations according to a formative approach, and establish periodic competency checks and make decisions on progression. Now, how to manage learning progression by practicing problem solving? Well, this is by optimizing the organization of the time that remains, proposing problem situations that favor the expected learning, and that is that they take the students where they are and take them a little further away. Now we have the group problem situations in class. You can try limit the diversity, but it is neither easy or strongly desirable. But except if groups are created based on the intellectual level, it is difficult to predict the distance of each student with respect to an unpublished task. We also can ask ourselves if some groups of levels are ideal configurations to deal with the problem situation. And finally, parallel operation of highly unequal levels groups creates intractable class management problems.
Okay, so I'm gonna present you the importance of a long-term vision for teaching. So when we first started the process of teaching up until the 20th century, I believe, we used to take students from a certain age or age gap, actually, like let's say ages 9 through 14 or 15, and we would just teach them whatever came to mind or whatever the needs of the society in particular had. So in this case, there's a huge importance for changing how chronologically classes are and how students advance every 1 or 2 years. This helps having for them to have a sense of accomplishment every time they successfully pass to the next grade. It keeps following certain classes like science, math, language, and it also helps organize students so that they can feel progression with almost everything in this case. Uh, this will help. This also helps the opening for cultural, sports, and extra academic classes that help them fulfill other needs that they might have other than just having a job. It is very important to define the student's level of the topic to learn. We cannot just teach students that are just starting to read, like teaching them right next to people who are already reading books about science and chemistry. So that's why grades were made. So you can learn what you need to learn and have a succession to it so you can keep learning and feel that you are actually succeeding at something. For this next slide, I'm going to present you the relationship and the importance between the relationship between teaching theories. So, once again, for a long time, we used to just teach to fulfill the needs of the society. If the city needed mechanics or needed engineers, we would just teach kids to prepare for that, either with mathematics or teaching them how to fix cars or whatever, right? So this helps teachers have a little bit more freedom of what topics to teach and how to teach them. How does this help? Well, it helps the teacher to feel more comfortable in the class, have more freedom of the activities and the didactics. It also helps students feel more natural and humane, like you could say, at the time of class, because it also helps that the teacher supports its students. So it is in between those lines that students feel more accomplished as well as in the past slide I told you. And what else? It also helps moving certain aspects of the teaching plan so it doesn't feel more robotic, you could say, the teaching way. It's not about the teacher having full control and full freedom and doing whatever they want. It's about having more leverage on what to do with students and how to teach them. It is important to analyze your students. So at the end of the day, you may or will need to make changes on how to teach with each class.
Okay, next we have observe and assess students in situations of learning according to a formative approach. Next, please. First, we have the guiding the progression of learning. To direct the progression of learning, you cannot do without the periodic checks of students' knowledge. They are necessary to establish promotion or orientation decisions. Not this one is their only function. They must also contribute to teaching learning strategies within a grade or a cycle. Far from being a surprise, these checks should confirm and enhance what the teacher already knows or has a feeling. Therefore, they do not exempt in any way of a continuous observation, of which one of its functions consists in bringing to day and complete a representation of the student's knowledge. Contrary to what is sometimes believed, continuous assessment completes a summative function, even certifying, because nothing replaces the observations of students at work. However, it is not enough to live in class with the student to know how to observe him, nor is it enough to observe him carefully to clearly identify the knowledge and ways of student learning. Without using heavy instruments, little compatible with the management of class and activities, it is important that the teacher knows how to repair, interpret, and memorize the significant moments that through small strokes contribute to creating an overall vision of the student. Struggling against various tasks, using both a notebook and a diary can make this job way easier. Next, please. Now we have why is it important to continuously observe students? Of course, continuous observation does not have as its only function to store data with a view of control. Its first objective is training, which, from a pragmatic perspective, means that it takes into account everything that can help the student to learn better. Their knowledge, which determines the tasks that can be proposed to the student, as well as their way of learning and reasoning. Their relationship with knowledge, their anxieties, and their possible blockages in the face of certain type of tasks. of what makes sense to him and mobilizes him, his interest, his projects, the images he has of himself, and a subject more or less capable of learning, his school and family environment. Next, please. Now we have evaluating learning conditions. We must evaluate the learning conditions more than of the knowledge acquired, since it allows much faster regulations. You can never be sure the learning is taking place. However, an experienced teacher, modest and insightful, is able to detect with a certain precision two different situations. One, students who are unlikely to learn, and two, students who have many possibilities of learning. On the one hand, students who have little chance of learning because the task overwhelms them do not participate, get angry, work slowly, copy their classmates, do not talk to anyone, or do not have nothing to gain or nothing to lose. They fixate on details obsessively, or they don't, or they don't. They stand still and tease, waiting for it to move on to another topic. On the other hand, students who, on the contrary, have many possibilities to learn because they get involved, they are interested, they express themselves, they participate in the task, they cooperate, they seem to have fun, and they don't give up at the first excuse, and they ask questions. We have to experience. We have to be experienced and have experience to disrupt the tricks of students who they often master the art of appearing active. But you also need to know that, that concentrated silence is not a guarantee of learning. There are students who chatting they learn better than model school children. And lastly, we have that an experienced teacher knows that the activities he does, no matter how elaborate and prepared they might be, will not always give the expected results. The teacher proposes, but the students dispose. One of the crucial competencies in teaching is knowing how to regulate learning processes more than helping the success of the activity. And that's it.
Well, thank you very much for viewing our video. I think that was everything. That's everything from us. Hope you really liked it, and thank you very much.